Have you ever pondered the origins of income tax? Does it feel like a modern imposition, or could its roots be more ancient than you imagine? Believe it or not, the concept of income tax has a rich history, dating back to the ancient civilizations. In the land of the pharaohs, ancient Egypt, there was a system of taxation in place. The Egyptians were taxed on their crops and livestock, which was the primary form of income in those times. This was one of the earliest known instances of a tax on income, albeit in a very different form to what we're familiar with today. Diving into the Middle Ages, particularly in the 15th century England, a novel income tax method was enacted named the tallage. This was not just a tax, it was a considerable levy charged on the lands owned by the peasants. This tax system wasn't a rarity, but rather the most frequent of its time, impacting a multitude of common folk across the nation. The peasantry, also known as the serfs, who were essentially the pillar of the agricultural economy, were the ones shouldering this heavy load. They were obligated to part with a sizable chunk of their scant income as tax, often leading them into the depths of relentless and debilitating poverty. The proceeds derived from this tallage tax didn't solely contribute to the monarchy's treasure trove. It was maneuvered to sponsor the kingdom's numerous wars. From the Wars of Roses to the 100 Years' War, these conflicts were largely bankrolled by the oppressive tallage tax system. Hence, the peasantry was not only shouldering the impact of a stringent tax, but also indirectly financing the wars that frequently led to their increased suffering and ruin. This was the harsh truth of 15th century England under the tallage tax regime. This was indeed a significant milestone in the evolution of income tax. However, the first true income tax as we understand it today was introduced in Britain in the 19th century. The British introduced a modern income tax system in 1803 to fund the Napoleonic Wars. This was initially a temporary measure, but it was made permanent in 1842. Across the pond, in the United States, the concept of income tax took a little longer to take root. The federal income tax was introduced in 1861 during the Civil War as a means to fund the war effort. However, it was not until the 16th Amendment in 1913 that it became a permanent fixture in the American taxation system. Over the 20th century, income tax systems evolved and spread across the globe. Today, almost every country in the world has some form of income tax, and it forms a crucial part of government revenues. In conclusion, the concept of income tax has a long and varied history. From its humble beginnings in ancient Egypt, it has evolved into a sophisticated system that is used worldwide. Despite its complexity and the grumbles it may cause, it is an integral part of our society, funding everything from infrastructure to public services. So the next time you file your taxes, remember, you're part of a tradition that spans centuries.